BBC Sounds.
So before you listen to your podcast, do something a bit different.
Yep, listen to the most petty and ill-informed podcast available. It's Off the Ball. It's on BBC Sounds.
The Scottish Football Podcast.
From BBC Radio Scotland.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast on Tuesday, the 5th of September. Our guest today is the former Scotland manager Craig Levein, now co-host of the popular Sacked in the Morning podcast. You'll also hear from Scotland's Ryan Christie and assistant manager John Carver. Craig, great to have you with us. We've moved on, well, some of us have, from Sunday's Old Firm match and that decision. So, tell you what, don't mention the VAR. You might get away with it once, but I would just leave it, you know. So we'll go on to the big game, the next big game, which is on Friday night in the Euro 2024 qualifiers. And Scotland's assistant manager, John Carver, has been speaking about that today at a media conference. So let's get a flavour of what he's thinking ahead of the game against Cyprus.
Well, I think we've said it on a number of occasions how tough the game's going to be. I mean, Cyprus are in a great... You know, you look at the games against Scotland, on the last three occasions, there's been one goal in it. But they've also had some decent results, all right? Maybe it's not the right result in the end, but performance against Armenia, which is a difficult place, winning in Israel, which is extremely tough because we found it tough out there, and losing in the last minute against Georgia. So, you know, we know how difficult it's going to be. I know Cypriot football pretty well, and the standard's got much better in recent times. So we know it's going to be a difficult game.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about your time over in Cyprus. What does Scotland have to handle correctly when they go over there?
Well, usually it would be the crowd, because normally they're quite intimidating. But for the national team, it's not so bad. There's more families and children who go and watch the national team play. So the most important thing is going to be the heat. It will be hot. The pitch will probably be dry. So it's something that we'll have to deal with. But we're in great conditions here at the moment and we're acclimatising to it.
He's mentioning how important this could be a win for Scotland, and it's so close. It could even happen, the qualification. If Scotland win, it could happen when we play England here. Has that been discussed yet? Is that in the back of players' minds?
We've not even discussed England. We've not discussed anything outside of the game on Friday night against Cyprus. I think we have to put all our energy into that game. We have to stay humble and show humility. So, you know, going into this game is all about hard work, our preparation, players being focused and making sure that all our efforts go into this game. As a group of staff and players, we've had some big games recently. And they always say the next game is the biggest, and it is. But it's not about can we qualify on Friday night, it's about when we qualify. We haven't done anything yet. We haven't qualified. It's only the halfway stage. You know, there's still 4 games to go. And you know how quickly it can turn in football. So we don't get ahead of ourselves. We're not thinking about the game after Cyprus. All we're thinking about is Cyprus. And I think that's our total focus.
John, you call them the most focused group, but I'll ask you what I asked Steve as well. Do you not think this is the best Scotland squad that you guys have been able to deal with? I
certainly think the squad has definitely developed massively over the years I've been here, but there's still room for improvement. What we can't do is we can't rest on our laurels and think, oh, we've cracked it, we'll forget about it. We still work diligently to try and find the gem out there. We still work diligently to make sure that what we do on the training ground is good, right and proper. So we won't slacken off.
So that's John Carver there, Craig. A few threads to unpick. I'll start with the heat, because while he was speaking, I went on my phone and I thought it can't be much warmer in Cyprus than it is here. I'm in Paisley, 23 degrees. At the moment in Cyprus, it's 30. Probably about the same come kick-off time on Friday night. How big a factor will that be, the heat?
Well, the very fact that it's an unusual situation for Scotland to be playing in that, or the players to be playing in that hot a temperature. And if you're not used to it, it can be quite stifling. You'd hope there'd be a nice breeze there when the game's on, but you never know. And, you know, I've played in a couple of games where the heat's been quite difficult, and it can have an impact on some players.
I tell you what, though, I've had a wee look in the group. He says it's going to be a tough game. You'll probably agree with him. You'll probably echo the late Craig Brown used to say, no easy games in international football. But if you look at the group, Craig, we've got more points than the rest of the teams combined. Mind you, some of them only played 2 games. Cyprus are at the bottom of the group there with no points. Can I be forgiven for being confident going into this game and thinking, this is a game Scotland should win?
Yeah, I mean, you're never going to get John or Steve coming on and saying we're going to win this game. Don't worry about it. That's not how that's not how it works. So they're cautious, and they've always been the same. Steve's always been the same. He doesn't get excited. He doesn't get ahead of himself, and I think that's something that serves the group that he's got very well, because he's always got his feet in the ground and very level-headed.
And John Carver pointing out there that the last 3 matches in Cyprus, Scotland have won them, but they've won them by the odd goal. And in fact, I think you were in charge of one of them, back in the day, and a friendly.
I think it was, yeah, one time. Yeah, I mean, we've got a great chance of qualifying. He won't say that, but I will. And I think they've done a brilliant job. They've done a brilliant job to get the national team into a place where most of us are looking forward to the Scotland games and actually got a reasonable chance of success. So it's a while since we had those 2 things, people looking forward to the games and there being a reasonable chance of success. The other thing that John mentioned was that the group are improving. And I see that as the most important factor, because a lot of these lads are young, really young. And we've got, imagine when these guys get to mid to late 20s, we're going to have some team, we really are. And that's why I get excited, because I know that, having worked with guys like Aaron Hickey, he's still just a kid, and he's improved enormously in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Now he's pretty much a regular starter for Scotland, and he's only going to get better. And there's another 7 or 8 players with name who are in the same boat. So you have every right to be encouraged, and you have every right to be looking forward to the matches, because I'm feeling exactly the same way.
I'm showing my split personality here, Craig, because while I'm looking back and thinking we're top of the group, everything's going great, maximum points, and then I'm saying, but mind you, 3 of the next 4 are away from home. Cyprus is going to be tough because it's in the heat. We've also got Georgia away. We've come unstuck against them in a couple of campaigns previously, and we've got Spain away, and then we've got Norway at home. That might not be a gimme either.
No, but listen, it's not going to be easy at all. I understand completely why there's caution, but I'm looking at it. I mean, the pressure's not on me to take this team into winning situations, so I can look at it with a sort of fresh pair of eyes. And there's a lot of factors that give me great hope that this team is definitely going to keep improving.
You're sounding
and that's the big thing. That's the big thing for me.
You're sounding very relaxed, Craig, to be fair, going into this game. And I'm wondering, that was John Carver speaking today at a presser. You've been in the role, Scotland manager. You see how it's regimented. You have the kind of assistant manager and a player one day, then a couple of days later you get the manager and the captain. And as you said, John Carver's not giving away any great secrets there. He's kind of almost sticking to a script. Do you all get together before these pressers and kind of brief each other and say, right, whatever you're going to say here to your assistant, don't say, we're in with a great chance, we're almost qualifying.
Well, I think John is well aware of that. He's worked with Steve long enough, and I mean, it doesn't. I very rarely hear any managers come out and say, we're an absolute certainty to win this match.
That would be refreshing, though.
But that just doesn't happen, and I think he's trying also to send a message out to the players not to get ahead of themselves as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the fixtures here, and our recent results have been excellent. And I'm looking at the fixtures coming up. And my eye keeps getting drawn to the Scotland-England match. Maybe it's just because it doesn't happen.
Just ignore that.
It's because it doesn't happen so much these days. But as much as it's a friendly, I mean, I'm still really looking forward to that. But the game after that, for me, the game in Spain, I think we can beat Cyprus. I really do believe that, and the evidence is here with the results that we've had. The Spain game's the one for me. I think that's going to be, if we can do something in that match, even get a point, that will be a real marker to how far this team's come.
Yeah, Kerridine, our reporter Kerridine Idsan, they're putting a question to John about the quality of the squad. And he's saying that's the best one he's had. When you look at it, you must be envious looking at that squad. The amount of players that are playing in the English Premier League. We've got guys now, all right, Tierney's just moved to Spain. We've got players in Italy, even one in Saudi Arabia. The quality seems to be improving almost every year or every 6 months even.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a real strength and depth now. And, I look through this squad here and there's guys playing at the very, very top level, and there's a lot of them. And I come back to the same thing again, David, about their age, early 20s. We've got so much to look forward to. When he looks at guys like Sir Patterson and Hickey and Henry and the young lad Anderson that's at Newcastle, Billy Gilmore, Ferguson's across in Bologna. McGinn's doing what John McGinn does. He's just brilliant every time he takes to the field. And I look at them and the evidence is there. The results recently have been really good. And I'm very optimistic about the Scotland national team. And I think Steve Clarke has done an absolutely amazing job.
It's almost a case of, Craig, when you're rhyming off some of the players there, it's almost a case of how's he going to get them all in? That's
always been the problem, or certainly recently that's been the problem. I mean, we had a debate many a time about the Tierney and Robertson situation, which Steve's managed to fix. I mean, he's had Tierney playing that left sort of centre back in a three, and then Robertson outside him, and then Robertson will come in the field, and Tierney will do overlaps, and it's really exciting to watch. If there's one area of the field, David, that was still a little bit, I feel we're a little bit short, or a little bit short is maybe not the right thing, that we need a really top quality player. I think it's the striking division. We've got Shankland, Nisbet, Dykes, Christie, and Shea Adams in this group. But there's not a talisman, if you know what I mean by that. Somebody who can lead from the front and guarantee almost the score in nearly every match. And if we had that, then I think the sky would be the limit for sure.
Are you looking for a kind of Scottish Haaland there, Craig?
Something like that.
Once we get that sorted, we'll be fine. But I mean, the guys that have been there haven't let us down. Certainly not. No, of course not.
No, I'm not being derogatory in any way, shape, or form. I think the quality of the players we've got is the best group of strikers we've had for quite a while. I'm just saying we don't have that one, really, really, really top international striker that that could almost guarantee us goals, if you want to put it that way.
We're talking about the quality in the Scotland setup, but there's also a real esprit de corps would seem to be developing. Here's what Ryan Christie had to say about that today.
It's probably the perfect mix of both sides of it. I've never had it so perfect in any other kind of club I've been a part of in my career. You kind of see it when everybody meets up and it has a brilliant laugh with each other, but when game time kind of rolls around or when we're on the training pitch, everybody's completely locked in. So it's just a nice feeling. Like I said before, I think it also helps when everybody's meeting up and everyone's just kind of sliding in again, back to normal and ready to go again. It definitely helps, and hopefully that'll help on Friday.
There we go, that's Ryan Christie. They're part of Steve Clarke's squad for the game against Cyprus on Friday. He sounds happy with things. Craig, how crucial is it to have that right atmosphere and the right kind of spirit in the camp, as it were?
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes from evidence of success, and I think that, unfortunately, when I was a Scotland manager, players didn't look forward to coming along.
Sure, that's not your fault. Oh no, here we go again.
So, I think Steve's built that winning mentality, and when the winning mentality comes along, what comes with it is this feeling that you can't wait for the international matches to come round. And I'm sure all the players will just be desperate to meet up again because the experiences they've had in the past have been fantastic, haven't they? So that's what brings that spirit that you were talking about, is this idea that the players themselves know that they are worthy of being involved in international matches. They know that their team's improving. I think it's really important to keep stressing that. So naturally, when those international dates roll around, the players are really excited about coming along and meeting up again because they've had success. And yeah, listen, I really can't stress enough how excited I am about this group and where it might go to.
Well, hopefully it'll go to Germany in the Euro 2024 finals. But here's the thing, Craig, I was thinking about this. So our European performances from our clubs haven't been great thus far, and I haven't heard too many optimistic voices about our three remaining sides in Europe as the group stage in each tournament approaches. However, the national team seems to be thriving, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, our European representatives are made up mostly of players from overseas. Is this because the cream of the crop are now being headhunted by teams in England?
In England and, in Italy as well. Who'd have thought that, Hickey played across there, and I think because of the success that he had, Lewis Ferguson is now playing out there as well. And we've got a load of players who are playing in the Premiership in England. Looking through, what have we got? Xander Clark.
You've got like McGregor, Suter.
John Suter, there's 2. Ryan Jack's 3. Callum's 4. And Shankland's 5. And how many's in the squad?
23, I think.
That's unusual. Normally we've got double that. So for me, it's where the players are playing that's the exciting thing, and how young they are makes it doubly exciting. So, I think some of the teams here in Scotland could do with some of these players, but the stark facts are that they can't afford them.
So I was thinking, what's happening to the rest of the academy boys? Are they just we're not producing the volume of players to step up to play first team football in for the big teams, or is it just they're not getting a chance here?
Well, when I look at this, a lot of these young players that are in the squad, they've come through systems in Scotland. Gilmore and Patterson have come through at Rangers. Porteous has come through at Hibs. Suter come through at Hearts and Dundee United before that. Tierney came through at Celtic. Armstrong came through at Dundee United. Gilmore's Rangers. Ferguson was Hamilton and Aberdeen. Ryan Jack was Aberdeen.
Christie.
Again, came through at Hibs. So, these guys, what they've done here is they've gone beyond the Scottish game. A lot of them have gone beyond the Scottish game, and they're too expensive to bring back. So, and I would love to see our teams here in Scotland giving more young players opportunities. I know I'm just rhyming off a load of names there that where they've done that, but I've been a wee bit disappointed about the number of young players that are getting opportunities right at this minute in time.
Tell you what, I knew I would get you onto. I knew I'd affect a change in your mood eventually, Craig. You started off bright and breezy, and I've depressed you towards the end. But I'm sorry about that, but we'll leave it there for today. Thanks to former Scotland manager Craig Levein. You have been listening to the Scottish Football Podcast with Craig and myself, David Curry. Keep up to date with all the latest football news on the BBC website and social media, and there will be another podcast along tomorrow. Take care.
The Scottish Football Podcast
from BBC Radio Scotland.
A reminder, Behind the Goals with me, Rachel Corsey and Leanne Crichton is now available every Tuesday. Make sure you tune in every week for all things women's football and plenty of special guests. Just search Behind the Goals on BBC Sounds.
BBC Sounds.